think for women to be successful as leaders requires the same kind of skills and abilities that I would say men need. And I think that the two key things that I expect from all leaders is that they be self-aware and they're authentic. And the reason I start with self-awareness, because that's the key to all of the leadership programs and leadership development that I've done, is because if you're really not self-aware and you don't know yourself, how do you know whether you're being authentic or not? Okay, and that's a really tricky question, because I think it's really difficult for people to take a look at themselves, a really hard look at themselves. And once you look at yourself and you really understand who you are and how you impact people, that's the real key with self-awareness, is how do your behaviors impact people, then you can lead in an authentic way. So, and when it comes to skill development, what I prefer is the T model of development. When I say T model, that's something that people have been talking about over the last 5 to 10 years, and that's where, if you think of a T, okay, you have your vertical axis, okay, which is an area that you're a deep expert in, okay. However, you have also your horizontal axis, which means that you become broad in a lot of different ways, okay. So you have one area where you're real viewed as an expert, whether it's people, leadership, IT, finance, whatever, and yet you still know a lot of things about, sales, marketing, finance, human resources, things like that. So you take your T development, so that's, from you're looking at it from a hard skill development, that's where you want to be. Now, getting back to being authentic, I've seen two kinds of women leaders in the world, okay? And there are women who lead like men, and there are women who lead like women. And I know that might be a very controversial thing to say, but think about it in the way of masculine and feminine energy. So, masculine energy is very dominant, very assertive, very confident, but not viewed as being very collaborative, sometimes more competitive, not very compassionate and empathetic. So, traditionally I've seen, I would say, older leaders from different generations who lead like men. And the reason that I see that and I say that is because they grew up in a world where men were the dominant culture. And the only way that they could get ahead was to behave like men, okay? Which is really a shame, because I think women of previous generations sacrificed quite a lot personally to become leaders. However, I've seen newer generations of women leaders who basically find their power in what I would call, in a feminine way. So there's feminine energy, which I think a great example is Jacinda Ardern, who's the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who says that I can be both decisive and compassionate, okay, which is what you need from a real leader these days. Because, I think one of the things that women naturally do better, or men who use a feminine style of leadership, is collaborate. And in this world, it's so complex, it's so diverse, that leaders of today and tomorrow really need to know how to collaborate, to bring in the best minds, the best people, the best talent, because they can't do it all. It's too complex. What's interesting is that you can have, or I've had some really, really effective and impactful relationships by doing virtual coaching. So I've had some clients that who I've had a successful coaching relationship with for 6 months to a year, have never met in person. And it's very interesting because they were able to achieve the goals that they wanted with the coaching program, so, which is great. I've also done a lot of blended coaching because, when it comes down to it, if I have to be honest, I'd rather meet with someone face to face, okay? Because I think that, there's this really important concept that we need to understand, which I call the richness of media. So, when you're communicating with someone, there's media. Basically, there's voice, there's face, there's body language, and when you're with someone face to face in person, okay, the medium is richest. Okay, you can really get the context from, read between the lines when you're looking at someone. Okay. The next richest is video, and after that is telephone, and the poorest is email. Okay, and that's why emoticons were developed, because email has no emotion. And so I think the thing is that to be conscious of whatever tool you're using for coaching. So we do use virtual coaching. Okay, we use it in tandem with face-to-face coaching, but we've gone more to virtual with COVID. And I think it can be quite effective, but you need to be able to manage it and use it properly as a coach, and to have the proper expectations when you're being coached. The other thing to remember is that, which I think is goes back to your last question and comes into this one too, is one of the things I anticipated when we first started this, and I found that it's actually something that's come to pass, is the fatigue. So there's getting used to this new way of working, this new way of life. Was kind of interesting. It was exciting. It was challenging, but after a while you kind of get used to it, and some parts of it can wear you down. And I think one of the things that's been really wearing and fatiguing for people is the video conferencing, because video conferencing takes a whole different kind of energy than going to meetings. Okay, and you always look at your picture over in the corner of the screen, and you wonder how you're looking and what your background is like. And you really have to focus and look at your phone or your computer for a long time. And, if you do that 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 hours a day, it's very, very tiring. Okay? So what we've been doing with people is to remind them to be conscious of that and to go breaks in the day. Same thing if you're a coach, okay? You need to really be mindful, that you don't do too much of it in a day, because you want to be present for all your clients, okay? And virtual coaching can work great if both the coach and the coachee have the right expectations and manage their energy properly.